Alright, how's it going? Today I'm going to be talking about the costs of doing an engine swap into a WRX. More specifically, the EJ205 generation. But anyways, if you didn't know me, if you don't know my channel, my WRX actually, the timing belt temperature sees about 100 kilometers after I purchased it. So I did a V5 EJ205 swap, and I'll break down the cost right now. Alright, so starting from the top, I'll go from the biggest item first, kind of make my way down. They might not be in the best order, but I kind of did my best. But it starts with the EJ205 block. So this kind of varies depending on where you live. I would not, if I were you, get them shipped to you. I would try finding an importer, at least in Canada. So all these prices are gonna be in Canadian. At the end, I'll do a little conversion for you on the screen. But if I were you, my first recommendation is I would not get them shipped. I would find an importer and then purchase it from them, and you can just go pick it up from the warehouse. It's a lot easier, you don't need to pay for shipping or anything. And then that way you can test the compression and everything, make sure the engine's good. I've heard a lot of horror stories where people get them shipped to them, the turbo's blown, oil all over the engine, and just things like that. And so I'll kind of give a brief explanation on what to look for when buying a JDM engine. Obviously just make sure it's in good condition, make sure there's no oil around the engine. Don't be afraid to say no. Definitely use your right as a buyer to get that compression test. Honestly, I've heard a lot of horror stories. My experience was pretty good. I didn't have any problems. The only problems I did have was the valve cover gaskets, which did need to be changed. I saw some oil, I just let it slide, and I ended up having to change those valve covers. But that engine costs $1,800 Canadian for the block with around 60,000 kilometers on it, so not too bad. And that also came with the turbo. But yeah, so that costs $1,800. So item number one, $1,800. All right, and this next part kind of varies. For me, I went for an OEM replacement, but I'm talking about the clutch. So when the engine's out, you might as well do the clutch. This video is kind of weird because there's so many different paths you can go down when doing this video. So just keep in mind, this is my experience. So for the clutch, I did a XZEDI OEM replacement, which cost me $312. For the sake of the video, I'm just gonna say $300. I know you can get, I went organic. I don't know who else. I don't know if you don't go non-organic, but I know the stage 1 was around $400 Canadian. The stage 2 around there too. I went OEM replacement. I just wanted a nice, easy clutch. I wasn't planning on pushing more power anyways. If you're planning on pushing more power in the future, this is where things get weird, because that clutch will be 400 plus instead of 300, but I went 300. So, and for the item number 3, another part you might as well replace while the engine is out. What I did, of course I did this, but it is the timing belt assembly. It's way easier to do when the engine's out. It's actually very easy to do when the engine is out. It's not that expensive. It's $200. Did the timing belt, did all like the gears and pulleys. I didn't do the water pump, but you can do that too, and it won't be too much more. I actually ordered the wrong kit, but the water pump on the JDM engine was already pretty good, so we were like, eh, it's okay. So that was $200. Definitely would recommend doing that. If you don't do your clutch, at least do the timing belt assembly. Preventative maintenance, you don't know what the previous owner has done, you don't know. It's kind of scary that way, but definitely do your timing belt. Big one. Alright, another one I didn't include beside the clutch, but it is the flywheel. I didn't actually do this. I actually just went and got mine resurfaced, which was about $50. I didn't do it because my flywheel is in perfect condition and I didn't have that big of a budget, but I know a lot of you will, so a flywheel will be around $300, around the same price as a clutch. You might as well do it while it's out. A flywheel is very beneficial to your revs, Definitely would have done it if I went back in time, but I didn't. Not that big of a deal. I just resurfaced my previous flywheel, $50. Yeah, flywheel, $300. All right, and the next one's pretty big. It's kind of it's a big category, but it is all your gaskets. So you're gonna have to replace a lot of gaskets, whether it's your exhaust, your intake manifold, your exhaust manifold, or if you even want to do, obviously the valve covers. And if you want to do your head gasket as well. So I would really recommend doing your head gasket while it is out of the engine. I know it sucks a lot, but it saves a lot of headaches for the future. One thing with the EJ205s, I'm sure you know, they are very prone to head gasket failure. If you already have your engine out, you might as well do the head gasket. I know it sucks, that's why I didn't do it. I wish I did, but do your head gasket. It's going to be worth it for the future. So for all the gaskets I paid for was around, I'd say $150 to $200. I don't remember the exact amount. I'll say $200. I did all my turbo gaskets, my exhaust gaskets, intake gaskets. I replaced every gasket besides the head gaskets, basically. That does include the part cost to the valve cover gaskets as well. I know you probably will have to change those as well. Don't really know why. They go pretty early on these EJ205s. Don't want those oil leaks. Alright, the next one's kind of silly, but it actually was pretty expensive. It was the exhaust donut. If you don't know what a donut is, I'll put it up right here. It's just a donut that basically just seals your exhaust. That thing alone was 20 bucks. Believe it or not. But for the rest of the video, I kind of did the main parts already. The next are up to you. Now I'll kind of break down the small things, because there's a lot of small things that kind of need to go towards this engine rebuild, engine swap process. So we'll start with the bolts. Believe it or not, I actually think I spent a little more, so I'll change that. I spent between $100 and $150 on bolts. I think they were grade 8 bolts. You can't just go to the store and buy them. I remember I went to one of a metal shop, and they wanted $50 a bolt. If you believe, for 8th grade bolt. So of course I went to Subaru. They were still like $15 a bolt. I ended up spending in this process around $150 on just bolts. Just bolts. Keep in mind, these are old cars. If you're doing an EJ205 swap, you have an older car. Bolts are gonna break. Bolts are gonna be useless. You're gonna have to replace lots of bolts. Super annoying, but it's just part of the process. $150 on bolts. The next thing I thought I'd just add in there, because you have to do it, is oil change. So I just put 50 bucks. That's pretty standard. It's full synthetic. Go, unless you find like a higher quality, like a way higher quality name brand, just go get the OEM oil filter from Subaru. Do whatever you can to prevent like ringland failure. Go with the OEM. The next one, just spark plugs. I want 20 bucks. I think I got the best ones you could buy. 20 bucks, not too bad. You might as well replace the spark plugs. They're pretty annoying to get out while your engine's in. You gotta like remove your battery. You have to remove your washer fluid on each side, because like the way a boxer engine obviously works is pistons punch like this. So the spark plugs are on each side, and they're kind of in the middle of the engine, and they're in the engine bay. So if you want to replace your spark plugs, might as well do it while the engine is out. And the last thing is the AC drive belt, AC and drive belt. 50 bucks. I replaced them. You might as well just get new ones. And I also put another category in here called other. Little things, I'm not actually sure, like little clips, little lines, fuel lines. I put 100 bucks in there just to play it safe. And one thing I will say is I believe this project, although very ambitious, is very doable for somebody like you at home. There is so many forum posts. There's so many videos on YouTube. And if there isn't those, feel free to comment down below or email me. I'll leave my email down below. Ask me any questions. I will answer them for you as fast as I can. There's so many forum posts though. If you can't find a forum post on exactly what you're looking for, I will be very surprised. But just keep that in mind. As long as you have the proper tools, you have like, you know, your basic fundamentals on mechanics, I believe that people can do this process. Believe it or not, it's pretty straightforward. If you just need the proper tools, you need to just watch out. And also, if you're doing this process, label and take pictures constantly. Even just random pictures throughout the process of nothing specific will save your life. I was always taking pictures, and we were like, a couple times we couldn't find out where some lines went, and it was just a way so simple when you ended up taking a picture beforehand. So definitely take lots of pictures, label it, label all your parts, label all the bolts, use a lot of Tide bags. That is what I did. The process was pretty easy. It took longer than it should have, but it took around 30 hours, 20 to 30 hours. Could have been less, but we were running into like bolt problems and stuff like that, which will make it last longer. Lots of rust on those bolts. But yeah, so the total price of this process was $3,200. Well, $3,190. It's probably around $3,200 Canadian. I will change that to USDM right now. But yeah, so $3,200 if you do it yourself. However, if you can't do it yourself, this process will be roughly, I would say, around $4,000 to remove the engine and put another one in. I would say around $4,000 to $4,500 Canadian, and obviously I'll do the conversion for you on the screen right now. But yeah, so it honestly wasn't too bad. If you didn't, so assuming that something bad does happen, I'd assume that you do have higher mileage on your WRX. This process, although $3,000, you come out with a very solid car if done right. If you do all the proper maintenance, if you do all the proper parts here, you come out with a very solid car. The transmission may have issues in the future, but if you replace that, you are basically having a WRX with 60,000 kilometers on it, 40,000 miles on it. I don't know what the conversion is there. You come out with a very solid car. You do have like some kinks and problems on the way, but you do come out with a car that you can kind of rely on as if it did have originally 60,000 kilometers on it. However, there's also many different options you can do. You can do a turbo upgrade. You can do you can do fuel injector, you can do forced internals. Although I've heard so many times, but I can't confirm it or deny it, that the EJ205 JDM engines do have forged internals, if not forged like stronger internals. I don't know why. I've heard that before. Even the importer told me that, but I can't ever find if that's the truth. But yeah, so there's many different routes. This is obviously just my route. If you have any questions at all, make sure to just leave it down below. I'll answer them as fast as I can. And I hope you guys enjoyed this little video. I just wanted to make it so hopefully I could help some of you guys decide if it was worth it. In my opinion, it is worth it. Subarus are amazing vehicles, and once you get the engine back in, the satisfaction it's amazing. As always, I appreciate all the support lately. Thanks for watching.